In this presentation we are going to look at the Fizzbuzz test. And what is the Fizzbuzz test? Well, the Fizzbuzz test is a very commonly used programming exercise that is used to test coders' ability. Essentially what you do is have your 100 integer numbers, 1 to 100 let's say, the first 100 positive numbers. And what you have to do is either print out the positive number, the positive integer, or the numbers fizz, buzz, or fizzbuzz, depending on certain conditions. And the conditions are as follows. So you should have one of the possible outputs. If the number is divisible by 3, the code should print out fizz. If it's divisible by 5, it should print out buzz. And if it's divisible by both 3 and 5, or actually if it's divisible by 15, it should print fizzbuzz. And if none of those conditions apply, then just prints the number itself. So if it would just print out 7 for the case of 7, because it's not divisible by any of those. So how do we do it? Well, we use the for loop, and we're going to use if, else if, and else statements inside the loop. And to help us, we're going to use the print line operator and the mod operator, and also the print line function and the mod function, as well as the equality operator. So the output should look something like this: 1, 2, fizz, 4, buzz. The next one will be 5, which will be buzz, and the next one will be 6, which will be 2 times 3, so it'll be fizz again. So that's one I've made earlier. I didn't mean to go on to that slide there. So let's bring up Julia here for a second, and I'm going to clear that for a second. So what we're going to do here is first off decide how are we going to check if a number is divisible by a certain number. So we're going to use the mod function here, and what this does is prints the remainder in this calculation. So if we have 18 divided by 3, what would be the remainder in that calculation? In this case it would be 0, because 18 is a multiple of 3. What would be the case for 17? It would be 2, which is to sort of say 17 divided by 3 is 15 remainder 2, so it gives you the remainder essentially. Now, how would we use that in the case of checking if numbers divisible? Well, if it's divisible, what happens here is that the remainder is equal to 0. So is 17 divided, is that divisible by 3? Is it a multiple of 3? What we're going to do is use the equality operator. Is that equal to 0? So it's either it turns into a true or false situation now. In that case it would be false, but if we change to 18, that would be true. Likewise, 15, let's make it 30 and 15. Is 30 divisible by 15? That's true also. So what we're going to do is set up a for loop here. So for I in 1 to 100, and in the first case, if mod of I and 3 equals 0, what do we do then? We print line fizz. And what's the next thing? Else if mod of I and 5 equal to 0, we print line buzz. And if it's divisible by both 3 and 15, it is divisible by, oops, that should be an I there, sorry. If it's divisible by both I, 15, we print fizzbuzz. Okay. Else, what happens? So the first statements get called if, or the first condition is we use if. For all the next conditions, conditions we use else if, until the last one we call it else. So in this case we would have just print line, and in this case we just actually print out I itself. Okay, so it goes through all these the conditions here and just checks everything. Is it divisible by 3? Is it divisible by 5? Is it divisible by 15? Okay, and at the end here we put the end statement. Okay, that's the end statement corresponding to the if. We don't have one for each of them. There's we just need one for the whole block of code here, one end statement. Okay, we also need an end statement for the for loop. that there. Okay, now let's run that. I'm feeling there's going to be a typo there somewhere. No, it works out fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is bring up the code there that we used to generate that. You can pause the screen here just if you want to write it down or something like that. That's how we implemented it there. Now there's actually, if you just pause and just write that down, or I'll actually put it on my website as well, statslab.com. But there's actually multiple approaches we can take. I just went for a very simplistic approach there. But once you get good at programming, you can try different approaches here. Get better and better at Judy. You can come up with better approaches. This is very basic. For example, this is something I found on the internet as well. This is a modulus. This is the Modulus Operator. So this is actually more or less the same implementation. It's just the syntax is a bit different, and as you can see, it's much more compact. But it's probably not the type of thing you should be doing when you're a beginner. Just get the basics first, and then try that. Okay, that ends our presentation.